So this is Baruch Fleischman here at the Tikkun Elevator Kollel, and what we're going to do right now is we're going to go to page Ayin Aleph in the Sifra D'Tzniuta, according to the Abulafias, not the Abulafias, the Abachatzeros, and we're going into the fourth parak here, and we're just going to read what the words themselves are. Now, if you are familiar with a little bit of Aramaic and some of these ideas, these words are very vague. So we have to all of them have to be translated in kind of different kinds of ways. So here we're going to come and we'll say the topic here is the Shleimus Adam, the perfection of man, V'chet Adam, and also the sin of man. So these are the words. We're going to be seeing them as we go through the Zohar. Right now we're going to look at them in general, just look at this, the whole thing, reading it. Now, using once again the concepts that Rabbi Mimran brings, is that as they are said, even though they're not understandable, they have a tremendous vibrational value because they move through the different olamos all the way up to the Roma Ma'alos. So this is our kavanah as we're learning this, and they're going to do the best way that Fleischman can do to try to touch these words together. So he says like this, the Zohar says, Atika, meaning Eric Anpin, Tomer V'sasim, is hidden, closed up. Zera the Anpin, but Zera Anpin, on the other hand, is Galia below. Is Galia has a part of him which is revealed and a part of him which is not. This Galia ba'asvan ksiv. Now the fact is, when he reveals himself to asvan, or letters, ksiv, and in writing. The iskasech is sasim ba'asvan, because what it has, or the essence of Zera Anpin, is hidden inside of letters. The lo misyashvan ba'asroi, and they doesn't, I don't know, they don't stay in their place, or they're not settled there. Begin to ichulo yisyasha be iloyim v'satoyim, and the reason apparently is because there is no harmony between the upper worlds and the lower worlds. And once again, this is my translation. We don't have the Abu Hatzera translation, not yet. So he said, V'yomer Elokim totzeh ha'aretz nefesh chaya. So Elokim, this is quoting this pasuk. Elokim said, bring out the nefesh chaya, lamina, according to its species. And then he says, behemoth v'remes. So it should be animals and swarming things. Hainu dechsev. So let's look at this. Adam behemoth toshia Hashem. That Yud-Kei Vav-Kei, which is also incidentally, if you were listening to the previous shir, also, incidentally, Yud-Kei Vav-Kei refers to Olam Yetzirah. Adam Behemoth Toshia Hashem. Hashem, Yud-Kei Vav-Kei brought out created, or came out from that name, of Adam Behemoth. Chad Beklala the Achra Mishtatcha. So, what the concept of Adam and Behemoth, they're kind of incorporated one within the other. Behemoth Beklala the Adam, and the animal is a part of man. Adam and Adam ki yakriv became carbon la Hashem, and this is the concept here like this. When you bring a carbon, the concept is that you're as if you were bringing yourself. So the Zohar here, to me, seems to be saying that when you're offering the animal, there is an animal part of yourself, and that, in fact, is the part that the animal represents. Adam ki yakriv became carbon la Hashem, a man when he offers from you, mikam, from you, carbon la Hashem, a carbon la Hashem, mina behema, from the animal. Mishum di iskala beklala the other, because a man has an animal nature. He said, nachas adam the sata bedikna di law. So what this means, I don't know. When this Adam, the Adam from down below, comes into b'diyukna law, excuse me, I said it wrong, it's b'diyukna di the law. When man is created down below, he actually has an image or a formation, which we have said many times, from the spiritual worlds. They look the same, except that the man himself is congealed into physicality. Ishtakachol trin ruchim trin citrin. Then you find over there that there are two ruchos that come from two different sides. The Yemina V'Smola, one from the right, one from the left, called Il Adam. And the man is actually incorporated out of these two sides, which, let's say, with just assuming that it's talking about Chesed and Gevurah. The Yemina Nishmas Gadesha, on the right side, is a Neshama which is holy, extremely holy. this small nefesh chaya, and the left side though is this living creature, nefesh chaya. Chav Adam is pashat smola. So when a man sins, the left side spreads itself out. In other words, he grows. Vis pashto be'inim below gufa, but they also spread without a body. What does that mean? Kad mizdavkin do bedo yisyaldan, and when they cling together, they produce more. Like a wild animal that give birth to 9 or 10 offspring at one time, maybe 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 offspring at one time in one bundle. Now it comes to another set. These letters, Tikkun Zun, so the Tikkun that creates the unity between Zohar and Nukum, the opposites. So, and we look at the secret of this, there's a Vav Daled, and then there's a Daled Vav, and then there's a Daled that goes with the Yud, and then there's a concept of Yaakov. Now, if you're listening to the Shiurim that are taking place in the morning, that are not in the morning, but are taking place in the Otros Chaim, you'll see that these are all variations of the combination of Yud-K, and then what we seem to see is that the Yud-K gives birth to the Vav. Now, I know a little bit because I read up a little bit up ahead, and I see some of these things, so I wanted to see, and so therefore I'm cheating a little bit. So let's go on. Kaf Beis Asvan Stimin. There are 22 letters that hide. Kaf Beis Asvan is Galni, but there's another 22 that are revealed. Yud Sasim, Yud Galia. So there's a Yud which is closed up, there's a Yud that's revealed. Sasim, Begalia, Bemaska, the Tapsin Askalo. So these two Yuds, one that's revealed, one that's not. Whatever it means, I don't know what it means at this point. For Al Bemaska, they all come into the balance scale to be weighed. The Tapsim Askalo, because they're put there and they're holding on there into the balance. Yud nafke minech dacher v'duk. So he says, I think what he said, the top same iskalo, that they're actually the same. They're balanced. They have the same quality. Yud nafke minei dacher. So for the letter Yud is a concept that the male comes out of that. Minei dacher v'nukva is the vav daled. So they have a word Yud. Let me see if he wrote it here. Yud vav daled is how you spell out the letter Yud. So he says one part, the Yud itself is the masculine part, and the Vav Daled is the female part. Bahai Aser Vav Dacher, and then you see that the Vav is male, and the Nukva is female. So that Vav Daled, those are the two final letters. One refers to the Vav, which is male, and the other one to the Nukva, begin Do, Du, Trin. So therefore, this we're talking about the word Do, is do, which is a Latin word for two, means true, means two. Begin da do. So we had the two letters that we're talking about, which in the earlier shir you could see that they form the letter hey by moving that vav underneath the daled. You get the letter hey. It makes two. Do dacher. So it comes like this. Do is the male. Of a nukva is the female. Do trin kafla trin. So this is do, which is two. And they're kaflim, they're doubled. Now, exactly what that meant, not sure. Yud b'lechudoi dacher. So if you take the Yud, we said before, by itself is male. Hey nukva. The hey is a nukva. Hey daled. So now you have the hey and the daled. Chaved b'kadmisa. So really, the hey originally, the first letter, the first way that the hey works is that it starts out with a daled. That's this part right here. Then the vav gets added onto it. So he said, first it was a daled. It is avras b'yud, but then the yud has a reference to it. In other words, instead of it being a vav, it could be a yud. B'yud b'gava af equals vav. It turns into a vav. And this is the concept of the word Yaakov. Because Yaakov means yud, which is chachma, bina, which is the hey. The two of them together produce a vav. That's the child. So he says, Yud b'lechudui dacher, hey nukva, hey daled, chaved b'kadmisa. So we said that the daled was part of the hey to begin with. And it's abras b'yud b'gava asking vav. And when it becomes impregnated with that is when the daled or the hey, which is representative with the vav, comes out this letter with the yud. A figus vav. Is chazach b'yud b'chezvei klala de Yaakov. So then the Yud comes out, and you could see it in a vision. It's in the klal of the word Yaakov. Mid the afkas Yud duhu dochar. So one, the Yud comes out, which is male. The nukva is yashvas. This causes the nuk to settle. The basav is kasya, the ima, and then after that, she comes completely closed in ima. Now let's look a little bit more. We're coming down to the end now. We'll just, again, may not make a whole lot of sense, but we need to see these words and understand how disjointed really and how hidden the ideas are in the Sifra D'Tzniuta. Tikkun Klipas Noga. So now the Klipas Noga, we should know, is a mixture of good and bad. So the top part, this is what the Re says, the top part is good and the bottom part is bad. Elohim as Beno Ha'adam. So he says the Bnei Elohim. So over here we're talking about spiritual beings that saw physical women. This is what it means. Shnayim Anashim Meraglim Cheresh Lemor. So they were the spies here. The spies here. There were two of them. There were men. My Benos Adam. Now let's go back to the first part where it said the children of men. Dersev Oz Tavono Shtayim Nashim Zonas Alamelech, and then you have corresponding to that they brought then two women who were impure El Hamelech to the king. Beginechum Kasiv, and because of them it's written ki wo ki Chachmas Elohim Bekirba, because they saw that the Chachma of Elohim was inside of him. As Tavona V'lo Begad Misa, then only when they saw that the Elohim was there, then they could come. Now that's a secret, I don't know what it means. So Bekistra de Kiture, so in a bundle of dinim, that begon, that cause flaws, that make marks and cuts and tear up the kedusha. Trin mishabkan chavachol. There were two that were clinging together, in the spiritual world. The Satan Nachso Yarso Afra, but when they came down and they inherited just the dust, which is Malchus. Ibedu Huloko Tova, Tahava, so they were in a much higher level, but they lost all of that good that they had. Itra the Bulma, so I'm not sure, but the Bumla, I'm not sure what that, and he says this means Chemla, so I'm not sure what we mean. So he says Itra the Bumla, and it gets bound up in Iniva is grapes, but kusta in a cluster of grapes. Now, what that means, we're going to find out. V'yomer Hashem el Moshe. Hashem said to Moshe, Ma titzak Elai, why are you crying out to me? Elai daika, me specifically, he's talking about me. Daber al b'nei Yisrael v'yisa'u daika. Speak to the Jewish people, to the people of Israel, and that they should start moving. V'yis'u moving, specifically that. But Mazel Habatali. But this all depended on Mazel, on a Mazel. What Mazel we're talking about? Now we know the Mazel does not necessarily mean the planet. The ball, the okir dikne, because it wants to glorify the beard. V'chayasher be'enav ta'aseh, so you should do the right thing that's in your, which is good in your eyes. V'azanta the mitzvahs, and listen to his mitzvahs. Shamarta kol chukov ad kan, and then guard all of his statutes until this point. Ki ani Hashem rafo'echo, so I am Hashem, your healer, l'chai dafka, for this specifically. So exactly what it meant, I don't know, but tomorrow, with God's help, we're going to go on to actually the Pirush, and we'll see how these strange words work out.